Welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. Today we're going to take a look at a very interesting group, the Peacemaker Corps Association, to see what it's been doing as it moves into its 20th anniversary. It's been a very innovative operation and we have a lot to talk about. My guest today is an expert on the Peacemaker Corps Association. My guest today is Carole Sumner Krechman. Carole Sumner Krechman is the chairman and president of the Peacemaker Corps Association. She is also, along with the Peacemaker Corps, the creator of Peace in the Streets Global Film Festival. Carole Sumner Krechman, welcome to today's Global Connections program.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's so nice to be back with you.
It's
been a few years.
Yes, and you were just launching your film festival. We're going to get into that in just a moment, but glad you're back again. Let's talk a little bit about the Peacemaker Corps Association. When was it formed? Why was it formed?
Well, as you said, 1997 was the beginning of it, and so we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary early next year. And what we were looking to do at the UN was actually to bring youth and grassroots peacemaking into the program. Long time ago, when there were very few youths here at the United Nations, and grassroots peacemaking really was an ad hoc kind of situation. We wanted to institutionalize it. And what we did was we created some restorative justice workshops, and were funded originally by the United States government under the Welfare to Work program for President Clinton. And then it was implemented by HUD, and we launched across the country, border to border, coast to coast. But the idea was to train young people from public housing and then eventually have them go abroad to teach, become mentors of young people all over the world who live in poverty and social disarray and other kinds of things. And that was going very well until the wars came and 9/11 happened, and priorities shifted by the United States government. So we had to rethink how we were going to stay here at the United Nations without funding from the government, which we did, and we're still here.
You're still here, very good. And our viewers can learn much more about your programs. They can go to www.peacemakercorps.org and get a lot more information about what we're talking about. Well, you've had some really interesting programs over the years. You've done some really innovative stuff. And one of the most recent that you've done, the one we talked about 2 years ago, you just launched it, the Peace in the Streets Film Festival. What exactly is the Peace in the Streets Film Festival?
Well, it's virtual. The Global Film Festival, you reach it online, which is www.psgff.com for Peace in the Street Global Film Festival. And so it reaches youth all over the world who are tethered to computers, and now we have an app that we launched in July, so even non-tethered, those youth that are in refugee camps. And we have under 18 is the general category, and then we've divided up into 3 age categories: 8 years and under, 9 to 13, and 14 to 18. Theme is overall peace in the street. What does that mean to them? How would they make peace in their lives?
How did you decide on that topic? That's a very interesting topic, and of course we do need peace in the streets with young people, with middle-aged people, and old people too, all through the whole gamut. How did you decide on that topic?
Well, Peace in the Street has always been our sub kind of, it's the Peacemaker Corps Association, Peace in the Streets. Mm-hmm. That's where we pivoted there about 10 years ago, because we originally were seeing that peace is an art. And we wanted to teach the art of making peace, but it got confusing to people because they thought we were in painting, and so we changed it to Peace in the Street. Like you said, everybody wants peace in their lives. Everybody wants peace in the street where they live, and that brings it right down granularly to the community.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've got your brochure here. This past October 28th, you had the third annual Peace in the Streets Global Film Festival, and it was an awards luncheon at the United Nations. What happened at that time, and who were some of the participants? Who were some of the winners? What were some of the topics? So what were the types of films that they were involved in?
Well, this was very exciting because this year we had winners from 8 countries and 4 continents. And we were able to bring those who could get visas, and some couldn't from the United States government, unfortunately. But we brought there were 22 winners at the DDR, the Delegates Dining Room upstairs here at the UN, and their families. So half the audience that on the luncheon were either participants who won and brought their families. And our top winner for this year, the 14 to 18, were 5 young women from India, from a school in India where they're teaching filmmaking. And our 8 and under category came from, the winner was from Nairobi, Kenya, but it was an homage to the kids of Haiti. And so we had done some of the filming in Haiti and some of the filming in the barrio and the slums of Nairobi. And there were about 50 young children who were part of it. But the interesting thing about Denson is that he's actually teaching filmmaking to street kids. And we found not only is he doing it, but our winner from the Congo, DDR, he also is doing that. He's got young people that he's teaching how to make films to tell their story. If you have a problem in life with them, all over the world, but if you have a problem and they feel there's no voice, they have no voice, they have nobody to listen to, we are giving them an opportunity to tell their story and then get it broadcast all over the world through the web, through our app, and then their visit to the United Nations.
And of course, folks can go to the psgff.org website.
.com.
.com. Thank you.
That's .com.
.com. That's right. Thank you for.
Yeah, that's a
mentioned
universal
that.
thing.
Thank you. Right. To take a look at these. Now, what were some of the topics? Did they focus on bullying? Did they focus on street gangs? Did they focus on truancy? Whatever the case might be. What types of topics did they?
Well, it was
come
interesting that now that we've had we're in our 3rd year, we have a really kind of a bird's eye view of what age groups and what they're concerned about. So in the 8 and under, they're really sweet, and most of them just look in the camera and tell their story, or they have a few kids that they play with. And this wonderful film that I said that from the Kenyan gentleman, there were about 50 kids that participated, and it was just singing and dancing about peace in the world. But when you get in the 9 to 13 category, that's when the adolescent angst comes in. And a lot of it is about bullying, domestic violence, violence they see in front of their house, people getting shot, war. In fact, last year, the Ukrainian boy who was in the 9 to 13 category won first place. His film was called War Takes It All. And I found out later that his father was on the front lines against the Russians. And then in the 14 to 18 category, first of all, the films are better made, and we don't look at the production value. The judges don't look at the production value, they look at the content and how they're delivering it. But the 14 to 18 category, they're much more sophisticated and more maybe philosophical about what they're seeing. So the winner this year, I Am Beautiful, really talked about how bullying, if you're not attractive in that age group of 14 to 18, you know, can really hurt their ego. And it was a very nice, it was an animated graphic film with a voiceover. But, you know, they talked about how she removed the hair from her arms, anything she was doing to be accepted, you know, and then she realized after the end that she was beautiful inside.
So did not need to do
she
all
didn't
this
need to alter
stuff.
her life
Exactly.
and her look to be like everyone else, because in her own skin she was beautiful. And so it's amazing because they're unfiltered. You know, these are stories that are in their heads about peace in their lives, and so we're getting this potpourri of different views of what peace really means. And I think it's very important for those who really run the world to listen to these youth.
And they have a strong message. They have a powerful message, and they're on the front line.
Yes.
They know what they're talking about.
And they're the future of our world.
Exactly. Not tomorrow, today. That's exactly right. Well, let me ask you, are all the young people, or all the people watching this program, are they eligible to participate in this contest? I mean, if you just fall within that age category, and you have a camera or whatever, you can make your own film. Can they submit this for next year? How does that work?
Well, we're starting to open for submissions in the middle of January, and yes, it's free. There's no cost. you can have a camera, you have a smartphone, you can make a video, you can edit it on your smartphone, because Sony Corporation out of Japan has very nicely, generously given all of our Peacemaker Film Festival participants free access to their online editing software. Which is very smart for them, because once the youth that are in filmmaking are using Sony editing software, you know they'll probably use it the rest of their career. They also are very generous for our winners and donate beautiful cameras for the top winners. And it's very interesting. It's free, and now that we have an app, you could make the video on your app, do the editing, and upload it. And that was specifically done because those youth that are running away from violence, whether it's in Syria or any other part of the world, they end up in a refugee camp. Most people don't have access to internet. So by just being on the internet, it sort of limited the population that we were really trying to reach, which is the young people who have been displaced. In fact, 2 years ago, it was a wonderful film from a Jordan refugee camp. It was called The Architect. And it opened up with this just the bleakest, gray, awful Quonset huts and dirt on the floor, and this young boy is digging a hole. So he's digging this hole, and he's digging this hole, and you wonder, is he going to bury himself? What's he going to do? I mean, and he's talking about how beautiful Syria was, where he came from, and how he's so sad being there. And then in the next end, right before the end, he comes out and he has the scrawniest tree you ever have seen, and he plants it. And so he was making a space in this new life for himself. That's the kind of thing that we get.
That is exactly what we need. Some of the people watching the show probably know how to make films. Of course, with the miniaturized handheld cameras, that type of thing, it's getting a lot easier for everybody. Do you have any helpful hints on the website on how to do this? You mentioned the app could be of assistance, but is there sort of a how-to kit on there as to what to do?
Yes, there is.
Good.
It's under the tab called Film School. So we've done 3 things to help. For the younger ones, we have an animated character named Hero, who tells them how to hold a camera, how to do this, how to do that. It's really cute. And then we also got 2 videos from a professor of film at the San Diego University. One was how to use the camcorder, which is Sony donates, and how to use their Sony software. And that's about 30 minutes. And so if you really look at it, or you have a family member who knows, it's very simple to teach you how to make a film. But in today's world, filmmaking isn't that difficult, because everybody makes videos of their friends. But what we see is this is an entry to STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, because they have to learn something about a computer. And it's very, very important to tell their story, so that brings them into the ability to say something about their lives and then have this huge bully pulpit for everybody to see.
Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guest. We would invite our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view our previous programs. Also, if you're involved with a PBS or community access television station, or perhaps an educational institution, a university that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you just have a website and you find our programs to be of interest, we would encourage you to download them free of charge, at no cost, and share them with your family, friends, the community, anyone who has an interest in our programs. Global Connections Television is provided as a public service, and again, at no cost. Today, we're looking at the Peacemaker Corps Association and some of the interesting activities that they have underway. My guest today is an expert on the Peacemaker Corps Association, and Carole Krechman is the president and founder and CEO of the Peacemaker Corps Association. Carole, we were talking about the film festival, Peace in the Streets Film Festival, and you're the key instigator, motivator, that type of thing, creator. But you also have allies, obviously. Who are some of your partners at the United Nations that you're working with on some of these projects, and perhaps other non-governmental organization groups that you're working with?
Well, Suzanne Harvey is the executive director of the film festival, and she's been here at the UN for many, many years. I've been here, but I think she's been here longer. And so she's really helped to bring together a wonderful group of partners. We're partners with Plural Plus, and Plural Plus is an amalgamation of the UN AOC and the IOM here at the United Nations. We're also partners with UNICEF. They help us film.
UN Children's Fund.
UN Children, yeah. But here, not the USA one, but the global one. And we've been talking to UN Habitat about how we're creating safer cities, especially with the app. And then our non-governmental organizations are corporations that sponsor us as iHeartMedia. They put out a PSA every year all over their 850 radio stations, call for action, call for submissions. We have CBS Television, and one of our judges is from their Vice President of Diversity. We have Sony, as I said. We have RPost, which is a technology company that has been supporting us. So we have a number of, would like more?
Yeah,
always need more.
That's right, always. And they can go to your website to find how they can participate. It's free.
Because
That's
we don't charge these young people anything at all. But what's happening, which we're very excited about, when I say we had 8 countries, in Africa, there's a group, in several African countries, what's happened is that young men and women in their 30s are setting up movie studios for kids to teach the kids to tell their story. And so this is a very important step. And our Kenyan in Nairobi did this homage to Haiti. And now he's a very famous filmmaker in Kenya, and he won a camera from Sony, and now he's going to take his kids and he's going to video the election that's happening, the violence, so that the world can see. Because so many places in the world never get any coverage on really what's going on in the street.
Exactly. Well, before the show, you had mentioned to me, this was an interesting program. I'd never heard of it, but I think you're partnering with the U.S. Department of Justice on U.S. police, coupled up with the United Nations Blue Helmeted Peacekeepers. What exactly is that program?
Well, we're looking to mentor those, what I call either the world cops and the local cops, because we want to turn their attention away from being law enforcement to become peace officers again. And so what we tend to do is train those folks in the uniform how to teach the kids to make the videos. Then when they go to meet with kids somewhere, wherever it is in the world, they have a purpose and they can be human. So peace in the street, what does that mean? So maybe we're going to teach them to share first their thoughts about peace in the street, or a situation that might have happened in their life. So they walk into a group of young people, and even though they're in the uniform of police or law enforcement, they can share some of their history. We're going to teach them how to do that, let go a little bit of this kind of I'm them and you're them. Mm-hmm. And then they'll have some knowledge, which we will teach them about how to use a computer, how to make a video. But the most important part of the relationship between law enforcement and youth is the sharing of what peace in the street means. And they may go back twice. We're working on that program with both the Blue Hats and the Department of Justice under their COPS division across the United States. But we're also working with a new organizational group called Generation to Generation. So it's gen2gen.org. And that was started by a group called Encore, where I won the Purpose Prize in 2008. For old folks like me doing something good in the world. That's what it is.
Honored for that.
Right, you have to be over 55, and that was 08, so, do the math.
Eligible. Okay.
And their partners are AARP, AARP,
okay.
and Experience Corp, government, and the National Partnership, and the Red Wagon, which is Colin Powell's organization, and the Points of Light, which is the Bush One. And so we're looking to train their older folks. ARP has, over 55, probably everybody in the United States, or maybe 80% of them have something to do with ARP. So we would give them the training program. They would find the mentors. Then we would get the mentors to the Boys and Girls Club. Part of this Gen to Gen is the Boys and Girls Clubs and other organizations that actually deal with the youth. And this it only launched 2 weeks ago, and I think it's going to be a big difference in not only our work, but work of the other members that have become partners. So really, I would ask your audience to look up Gen, number 2, gen.org.
Exactly. Go to that, or you just Google it, and it'll all come
It'll
up,
all
and you can
oh,
find
yes.
it very easily. Yes. Well, before we run out of time, let's talk briefly about peace. This is what you've been focusing on. There's a Culture of Peace Forum. What exactly is that? What is the purpose of it? What does it do?
Well, in 1999, when Ambassador Chowdhury was the president of the Security Council, they decided on a doctrine of the culture of peace. And they created this doctrine, and they got all 100 at that time, 189 countries to sign it, which was great because it talks about what peace means in the UN terms. Unfortunately, it took 4 years for anything to it took till 4 years ago, which was 2012. So here we have 1999 to 2012 before anything had ever really been done in a big way. So Ambassador Chowdhury and Federico Mayor, who was the head of UNESCO, put together a forum. So every year, a week before the new GA, all the countries come again and discuss what their plans are for this next year on how to make peace. And it is listed in the doctrine of the United Nations documents now. So the culture of peace is what we're trying to create. Not a culture of war, not a culture of violence. We have to get away from that. The world's too small.
That's right. We need a new mindset.
Yes,
Exactly right.
yes.
Well, as you look over the horizon, look into your crystal ball, and you've dealt with a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. You've worked on a variety of international issues. What do you feel are in the short amount of time we have left, the hardest question, what do you feel are the top 2 issues we're going to be dealing with as we move well into the 21st century?
Well, I think first of all, we have to stop war. We have to stop bombing cities and killing civilians. I just don't really understand it. I mean, we are the only animal in this whole planet that kills ourselves. So that has to stop. And then then we can really focus on the economic development, because the basis of war has always been economic advantage to the strongest. You go way back in history, as people crossed the globe to conquer and collect other people's wealth. So it's always been that. Now we have to look at how do we spread the wealth better so we don't have the violence, because we don't want to be a world of haves and have-nots. And that's why we feel what we're doing is like magic. We've created some very simple magic. These films are made on a shoestring. We allow them to upload them free. There's no cost. When the winners come to the United States, we pay for them. We put them up for 2 days here in New York. They get to meet other youth and visit the UN in a way that nobody else gets to visit the UN anymore, unless you work here, because otherwise you have to come in a group. So they're kind of very, very special. And what they're doing is going back to where they came from and encouraging more youth to make videos. So every year we've grown like 5 times, 10 times. We have a big goal this year. This year we would like to talk to different groups and say, if you bring us the most videos, you'll be a winner just because you made more videos than anyone else, and we'll give you a camera maybe, we'll give you some computer. So that way we can have kind of competition. We'd like to have millions of films because that becomes like a story in itself. As you know, you reach millions through this TV show. You know that when things get like that and they look like it's going to be here forever, that becomes the story, and it just perpetuates the continuation of what we're trying to do.
Well, Carole Sumner Krechman, these are very important topics, and these are issues that hopefully I know you will continue to look at them, but hopefully the media will start focusing more on them, because they play a vital role, and in many cases they are not playing a role in helping us better understand these international issues and how they impact our lives and the lives of people overseas. And these are absolutely vital to all of us. In fact, they're so vital they could be vital to the actual existence of this planet as we go into 2200, 22nd, well, we're in the 21st century, going to the 22nd century, especially with climate change. But I want to thank you so very much for a very interesting and a very informative program.
Thank you for having me again,
Thank you.
Bill.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us today on Global Connections Television.